We are now recording Backlog Grooming on April 6th, 2015. We have Chad and Chase and Dilip in the room. Um, so let's go ahead and get started, I guess. So the first story we have here in PD Responsive Support is the Move Image Flex Enhancements. This is roots, so it's in QA trunk right now. And then next one down, we have some programs support the engagement map review with Dilip. Did anybody do that with you yet, Dilip?
I think I just had a word with Radhika. She told Brandon McKenna team is doing something, and she asked me to get in check with him. I think.
Okay, cool.
But I don't have any details what he's all about, and I don't have any details.
Okay.
Okay, she was going to walk you through all the documentation, everything we did. She didn't do that.
No, she tried to demo it through Lexus website, but for some reason metrics are not displaying for Lexus. When you go to engagement tab in the WSM, I don't see any statistics.
Got it. Do you have next steps, or you're at a loss right now?
He's got to talk to Brandon's team.
Yeah, I need to talk to Brandon's team.
Okay.
So is it a MVP item now, right now? That is?
It's a what?
MVP item?
MVP?
MVP?
No, this is to get Lexus on board with the engagement map.
Okay.
We're like the last people, so it's part of Ulrika, Intent, AMP, their whole package.
Okay.
We're trying to see how close we are.
Okay.
So we could talk about it offline if you have more questions.
Okay, cool. Then we'll get down into the bug fix maintenance section. We have a few things in QA branch. This top one is Radhika's story, the research top nav menu tags. Radhika asked me to follow this through to release because she already checked it in. I checked in about some parts fix and the brochure fix. Looks like there's a staging leads issue in QA for trunk right now from Dilip. So that's good.
1 second, I haven't opened some Radhika's field support.
Oh, okay.
We could circle back on
She just checked in the code, right?
For 6108?
Yes.
Yeah, so if she checked it in and it's on 415.4.2, it can be in the QA branch column.
Okay, and just I need to track it.
Just drag it over. Okay, so 5824 is JS error bundling causing FIR not to load in IE. I think this is the one that Pratik sent a note out, said this is closed, or he can close it. So go ahead and close it if you cannot replicate anymore, so that's great. Okay, so the next one is 6083. Images in Flex widget have hard-coded height, and Pratik had questions. He sent an email today, and he said, why do all grid height variables have hard-coded height of 32.5 rems? And there's some examples here. I don't know who's going to answer that question. I mean, I can't answer it because, I don't know why they have it. I think that's just the way it was done. So maybe we just investigate why it was done that way and see.
For CPO or just in general?
Just in general. This was the issue that Derek brought up where the image flex or the image in the image flex widget weren't scaling properly and responsive. And so this is the story to address that, and he's asking these questions.
Got it. Okay.
So, okay. So the next one down is 6124. This is the issue that VD sent over with this. See right here around this go button. There's a missing background gradient. It's because we are hard coding in this color with a color here that's overriding all of the buttons. And so in the Merlot styles, what I'm going to do is give the background color a different color for that widget. So that's what I'm working on today. And then we have some news stories. It's like a 1 hour story here to research failed aborted leads report. And Niraj has that one, yeah. And then we have another story here, research image widget on responsive layout issue. It's 3 hours.
That's the Derek one from this morning.
Oh, is it? Okay. We don't have anybody assigned to it yet.
No.
Oh, this is the story. Yeah. Okay. I'll put a comment in here, but I did some investigation. I put it on in QA3. I put an image flex widget onto a GM site, and I was not seeing this issue. What is happening is even if you don't configure a link around an image, an anchor tag is put around the image no matter what. And if you don't specify a location for the anchor tag to go to, an href, it by default just kind of redirects to the home page. That's where our system works. So I'll respond in that story.
Okay.
Next one down is yours, Dilip. It's 6160 research supplemental import error. Failed to get data for Lexus pricing. And that's a couple hours.
That one should be
this
resolved.
Fixed actually.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Lexus was down.
Oh, okay. All right, good. And we'll get on to ad hoc. We got a bunch of closed stories from sales events and whatnot, but we got some new ones here. This one is implement new CPO page enhancement tagging specs. This is a 4-hour story. If somebody could grab this, I could grab it if I have time. But the specs are tiny. I think there's a page load and a click. So it's not a huge thing, but it is omniture tags and it is release dependent.
And that attachment was very, very specific and
Yeah, overly specific for 2 tags.
for
Um,
once.
But that's the kind of stuff we should be getting for omniture tags, and we should have got that before we launched because we did ask for it. I remember you asked for it, and they're sending it afterwards, which is not always the case. They usually send it to us before projects, so hopefully we'll get it before next time.
Okay.
All right, next one down is 6161. This is Ritesh's. This is Research Lexus Accessories Interactive PDF Solution.
So I had a meeting with Lexus last, I'm going to call it Thursday morning. So the accessories project that Steve is working on with the product core team, he's plowing away on that, but Lexus is now telling us that the UI portion they potentially want to push off until late summer, early fall. So they may want a short-term solution in which they would put the accessories in the global nav and have it just point to a page that has an iframe towards some accessory solution they have like right now. Yeah. And then they talked about a short-term solution phase 2, and it's a whole nother thing, and they don't have an answer for mobile, and there's like 3 other things that we had problems with it right away. So I gave that to Ritesh to take a look at. He's got the documentation. So I'll try to remind him today about it, because if he's not going to get to it, he should send that to someone else.
Yeah. Okay, great. Next one now is operations. Looks like Sandesh has released support. Hopefully Sandesh had a good birthday weekend. Next is technical debt. We got a couple stories from Root here. A 6 and a 12. So hopefully these will be done this sprint before Wednesday and their Wednesday as well. Bundle remaining CPO redesign JS files is in process, and then fix the glitch when video is replayed. So a couple stories still in the early phases. Okay, so the next one down is the service and parts redesign. I have a story here, and looks like Biswadeep also has a story, and you have a story as well, Chad.
What?
Yours is to create the service and parts redesign page LOE. That's a 16-hour story. Our research has been ongoing. We had the meeting last Friday, and I updated the document in Confluence and sent that out. I don't know. Did I say I might not have sent it out, but it should have notified watchers. If not, everybody take a look. I did update the Confluence page for that.
So all those answers, thanks to Eric and Radhika, got documented and sent out. The biggest one takeaway is right now for the parts and accessories page, let's not do LOEs on that right now. We identified several open questions in which we're starting to rethink the strategy. So for the parts and accessories section of the service and parts LOE, you want to hold off on that, but all of the other ones go for.
Yeah, you'll see we have
Questions
lots of
included,
questions answered here. I don't know if I put it in this document or not, but I did send an email, I think, last week. I think.
I could have sworn I saw it Friday afternoon. I thought.
Okay. Yeah, I did. I sent an email. That's right. So anyway, take a look at the email. And let's get all our questions answered before we start this.
And if you guys have more questions based on those emails, let us know. We'll quickly turn around and see what we can get. And I'm gonna push that into next week. My
Okay.
LOE, because my LOE is basically
So-
the team kind of consolidated everything.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get to that in the sprint.
Okay.
So cool.
Okay, cool. Next is Lexus program support. Looks like Chase, you have a story. Document style attributes of all 3 Lexus designs. Cool. Good. And then Ritesh has another story for discussion on incorporating AMP into Lexus. Just so I know, what does AMP stand for?
First off, it's AMP, Eric, not AMP.
It's all capitalized. It's AMP.
Account management portal.
Okay.
So basically, that's the product team at like Ulrika, and just talk about Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
So AMP, you'll hear AMP, you'll hear PCE, you'll hear Intent, you'll hear
I've heard all the other stuff. I just never heard
engagement
AMP.
map. Yeah, it's all kind of related and falls underneath the umbrella of their team.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is figure out how hard it would be to actually get a little bit of intent baked into Lexus, such as so we could surface inventory based on what people are looking at, or surface cars and stuff like that on search results,
Okay.
all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
So he thinks we're closer than we are. He's supposed to farm some stories out to people. Looks like he hasn't done that yet.
Yep. He has a lot of stories to take care of the next
Shame
couple
on
days.
him. I'll go yell at him.
And he's not here now. So, okay. So then we get down to Elms. Looks like Radhika released a change out last week, and then we have a story in the Lexus SLP web service URL update, and that's on you, Chad. This is Research SLP web service URL update.
That's going to be an ad hoc project that's blocked right now
Okay.
because we need the URL from Lexus.
Okay. Oh yeah. So Radhika assigned it to you as the project has started. So that was the last comment, April 15th.
Sure.
So, that brings up a question then. If it's going to be an ad hoc project, it should be under the ad hoc epic, but it has its own epic. So how does that work?
So, good question. When we got this, I was told that this was going to be a project because it was really big. Ritesh and Radhika took a look at it and said, this looks like it's going to be like 12 to 15 hours. So I said, okay, I'll pull it out, just throw it in ad hoc. And I started talking to ES, and they were like, just hold off. Let's see if there's not more information that comes in the next week that may change that. So when we get the information, we get that URL, we'll do another pass real quick to make sure, yep, this still looks like it's small. If it is, I'll go delete all the project codes and stuff like that, throw everything as ad hoc, and we'll go through that.
Okay. I was just curious. I don't know if you wanted to put like a sub task. I don't know. I don't know how you'd do it, but have two titles. But anyway, we'll move on. So the next section down is the LDA offers data integration. So we have quite a few stories here. Dilip has one in progress.
Yeah, just started from Friday. First 2 days I was in discussion with Radhika and
Right.
Chinna. I haven't started any coding first 2 days.
Okay.
Just started on Friday.
Excellent.
So today I'm closing a bit.
Okay. It looks like Niraj and Biswadeep both have stories here, and then there's some that aren't assigned. So maybe these 16 and 24s at least can go out. And then Dilip, you also have a 24-hour story.
Yeah.
So all these other stories can probably go to next week because
Good.
there's no way they're going to finish. Niraj has 16, and
The
if he takes
problem was
another
we
one.
didn't start the coding the day one because we
Yeah.
need to go through the requirement and LOE. So
Sure.
we didn't kick off on day one actually. So
Yeah, so some of these definitely need to go next week.
Got it. So, do we know who owns a story in this room that they're not going to finish?
Well, these two are not assigned to anybody.
Do we know? We don't know if anyone's maybe started working on them and did put their names on it.
Well, I don't, we can't say that, but Niraj has a story, and Biswadeep has a story, and Dilip has a story, and this is
Neeraj
back
started
end.
actually, but Friday he was investigating that the log issue. Somebody
Yeah.
changed it. I
The
think whole day.
RP1 mobile thing.
Yeah, I think
So-
he spent some whole day on this one. I think. So
Does everyone in the room here have their name on stories they're working on?
I have one. Yes.
Yeah, he does.
Okay, and you guys have enough work for this sprint with the stories you have?
Yes, I think I should be able.
Yeah, he has a 16 here, and then a 24 down here. So.
Do you think you're going to get through all that?
I believe 16 also can't. I think Wednesday we have 7 p.m. right? 7 a.m. right?
Yeah.
I have only
One
one
day,
day and 2
yeah.
hours left.
So, for your stories that you have, if you could take a look at what you're going to be able to accomplish. So let's say you can do the 16-hour story because you've already started it. 24 you're not going to touch.
Yeah.
If you could then toss it into the next sprint,
Mm-hmm.
and then you could do the same. And then on the phone, if you've worked on something and your name's not on it, please put your name on it, and then just take a pass, folks in Pune, on what you feel like you could kind of complete in this sprint, and anything you can't, let's go ahead and put on the next sprint's backlog. So we don't come into the room for sprint planning and realize that half our stories are getting carried forward.
Yeah.
I believe there is scope to split the stories into smaller pieces.
Yeah, I mean, 24
I feel
technically
24
is too much.
too big actually.
So like, let's say you're not gonna touch your 24 hour. Number one, you got to break that up, right? We're not
Yes.
supposed to have stories over 16.
Yes.
So you could break that up, assign it to yourself, put it in the next sprint's backlog,
Yep.
and then your 16. If you look at it, go, I put in 6. I probably have another 6 hours.
Yeah.
There's going to be 4 hours I'm not going to get to.
Yep.
Take that 4 hours out, create another story for it,
Sure,
throw
yeah.
it in next week's backlog, and then you
Yeah.
know that your 12 hours on this one will finish this week.
Yeah.
That's an example.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool. Okay, so that's the
Clear as
offers.
mud.
Yep. And then finally, the last one is issues without epics. We have implementation modifications, or implement modifications to inventory search widget and to make it responsive.
There's some questions here we saw.
Yeah, but Sendesh. Oh wait, no, this isn't the one. Never mind. Looks like he says, as Ritesh mentioned in Sprint Call, large number of drop downs would not look great on mobile.
Chase is asking.
Oh, so he wants a mock-up of the inventory search widget. Since you didn't have a story to do that, you're probably not going to get it done since you're working on something else. So I don't know where this is going to go with it. And this should have an epic, right? This should have.
What is this for?
This is make the inventory search widget responsive. Should be a tech debt.
Okay.
Well, it should have been. I'm asking.
No, I'm just trying. Where did it come from? Who created it? How long ago
Oh.
was it? I'm just trying to get some context.
It was under Lexus program support component, and Sendesh opened it. It was one of the couple stories got opened when we had widgets that looked like they could be useful to us.
Got it.
And then especially this one that we're using this widget right on the CPO story page. It's a great widget. It just needs to remove our legacy customizations and then go forward from there. So he demoed it. Remember, he demoed it last week.
Yeah.
And it looked kind of funky on the smaller sizes. And so I think what we need is a story for that for Chase, and then we'll get, because he needs tasks just like we do.
That makes sense. Chase, are you really familiar with the request?
Not completely, just because the inventory search widget is so all it wants is just a mock of how it should look when it's desktop, mobile, and tablet.
Yeah. In mobile, I don't know if you remember, it had a whole bunch of fields that were all just kind of stacked on, not stacked, but two columns, I believe. And everybody, like Ritesh came in and said, look, it doesn't look right, and it needs to look better. So I think they're just looking for something else to make it look nicer.
So, Sendesh, it looks like Chase didn't see your email. If you could, this story is blocked. If you could create a story for Chase, and in it maybe include a screenshot of what you showed us last week, and specifically ask Chase what you're looking for with some acceptance criteria, and create a story for Chase. We could track it that way. I did see your email, and unfortunately sometimes these kind of get lost.
Okay. So that is the current sprint. Oops. So let's go to the backlog. Okay, so that's the current sprint. So we have a sprint already built for 4.8 to 4.14. Looks like we have a lot of intentful things.
Yeah. So.
It's just you. You're the only one who has stories.
Yeah, I think it's because I created the sprint. So these 5 stories are related to the AMP one.
Okay.
So let's keep them in here for now. I know that we're going to have quite a few stories probably come in from our current sprint. So it looks like we had a couple offer stories that are going to get hopefully not carried over. Hopefully they'll get broken down and put in there by the team in the next 2 days. And as we start filling that up, we'll start pulling stories out of here and putting these to the top of the backlog.
Cool.
So if we want to scroll down to the backlog, there's quite a few offer stories.
Yeah, the first one is the follow-up on the NVI requirement. It's assigned to Erotica, so obviously it needs to be assigned to somebody else.
Ritesh. We've got another meeting set up.
All right, it is assigned to Ritesh.
And you can just drag that straight into the sprint. We're going to have to...
In our current sprint?
No.
in the next.
Perfect.
Okay. Go. That's fine. Then we have a bunch of offers. Lots and lots of offers. Lots and lots of offers. And I think Ritesh opened all those. Did he?
I believe so. Without knowing exactly which ones are going to jump from our current sprint to the next sprint, could we look at these offer stories and do any kind of sorting on which ones go before which ones, or
Well,
do they look like they're already sorted?
it looks like, well, I don't know, but there's QA here, QA, QA, QA,
It's
QA.
not short, actually. I think we should split into smaller stories, then we can rearrange and stuff.
It's weird. Some of them are 4 and some are 24.
Yeah, it's not
So
You want to split first and then
Yeah.
sort?
there's a 6135. That's a big one, right?
35.
Actually, if you use top of the backlog,
There's the top.
anything that's over 16, we should take a look at right away.
Okay, like this. Verify performance with caching offers with group data in dev and QA. So we split it in half and do one in dev and one in QA. 12, 12.
If that makes sense.
Well, because it's
That's
just
more-
a performance measure in 2 different environments.
Sure.
So we could split those up. 16, 16, another 24. Validate offer data from service for Lexus offer loader jobs. Like, how do you make that smaller? I don't know, because I don't even know what that would entail, because it's a back-end task.
Validate offer data from service. So this is manual testing actually. This is a manual testing to see to run the job, to see whether everything is loaded in database or not.
Oh, okay. So yeah, like I don't know how to split that up.
But I can split the current one, whatever we have the current sprint.
Sure.
We have a big story section as. Rather than creating one story, I can create 2 stories. One is create the skeleton. That means just no code, just class files. I check in the code, then implement the logic, then to each other.
That
Okay.
sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying. Build the infrastructure.
Yeah,
and then
infrastructure
before
one
you-
part,
yeah.
then so
Yeah. So feel free to jump in and start doing that.
yeah, maybe I will have call with after to Neeraj and Destiny tonight.
Absolutely, yeah.
Then maybe we'll figure out the plan to split into chunks.
I talked with Bispreet this morning. Yeah, if you want to start calling them and talk to them through some of it, how to
We
plan
have
this,
the
they would.
standard
Yeah,
of it,
they
Oh, yeah,
would love
10
that.
o'clock we have our call tonight, so just tell them you want to hang on.
Sure.
Okay, cool. So you want to go through any more of these?
Um,
I'm
How
sure
about
something,
this?
Something will carry forward
Yeah.
definitely. I have no need to touch now. I believe actually.
so
Okay.
here's what I'm thinking is pretty much exactly what you just said. So Eric, it doesn't really have help having you weigh in here, or Pratik, or Root, or
Mhm.
Siddesh,
Yeah.
or those, because these are all back end stuff, right?
Right.
So, what if you want to tackle these tonight with Biswadeep and Niraj, and just start talking about which stories are coming in, which, and that kind
Sure.
of stuff, that would be great. As far as the offers, let's stay really aggressive
Mm.
with the backend development, because I know there's only a handful. We have 4 backend developers,
3, right?
3 actually. Sorry,
Yeah, including me 3.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was counting.
Well, Radhika's gone.
Yeah, I know. I just forgot that. So there's 3. So if you guys want to stay real aggressive,
But no, we cannot stop the ad hoc items like Friday one. It's almost consumed a few hours mine and. Few
got
hours.
it.
So if we encounter those again, it will increase our velocity.
It totally will. So if you guys stay aggressive with offers,
Sure.
and then anything that a front end developer could do,
Mm.
testing or assemble something,
Kick it
feel
over.
free to like, give them more work.
Okay.
And so you guys just keep what your skill set is.
Sure.
So let's see how it is. Cool.
All right,
And then you guys could prioritize the backlog a little bit
Sure.
accordingly and work with Ritesh on that.
Okay.
Perfect.
excellent.
All
right.
So as far as front end,
Pratik put a note in the story this morning that he contacted. This is the contacted once at JS error on our pages that we see when they have contacted once. He followed up again with them on the 3rd and still hasn't heard anything. So the issue's still visible. So it's nothing to do. We're still waiting for contacted once to take care of this, and that's where we
contacted
are.
once is a
It's a third party. It's the chat thing you see.
Got it.
Let's see if I don't
I know what
think
you're
Bellevue
talking
has
about,
it,
the
but
annoying thing that bounces around.
this thing up here, this guy,
Yeah.
like this. This is, I don't know if this is contacted once, but this is similar, right? These crappy chat things.
Critique. Oftentimes, I'll tell the folks in Seattle this: if you're kind of at an impasse and you feel like they're ignoring you, feel free to shoot it over to me, and I'll CC you, but I'll send it to them, and I can use big words to try to scare them into answering you. So feel free to do that. Like I tell the folks here all the time, sometimes they just need to think that they're getting in trouble, and suddenly we get an ear. As far as front end, do we have some stuff?
Let's see, we got SAS Labs. We got some. These are prod errors, mostly back end tasks, I think.
And I'm assuming all that intent that I have in there already is going to be back end.
I don't know exactly what that entails, but it sounds like it would be to me.
Yeah.
There's some other stories, some back end or front end stories in the backlog that, like this customer reviews widget is not displaying properly. So, like this one could be fixed and make it so dealers can use it. In this particular screenshot, it might be because of port. When they were making port, I remember this, when we were making these ones, whoever was doing these didn't realize that we would get widgets down here, and therefore it was breaking everything. So that's something we could do. Batch job is still assigned to Erotica, but somebody else can grab that from her. Specials link present. This was okay. So this one I put a comment in. The story here is the specials link is present on the FIR as a CTA, but it's missing from the hamburger menu, which we were talking about earlier today. Not this particular story, but the problem here is the page that they're linking to, the View Specials page, is not a responsive page. So that's why it doesn't appear on the mobile menu. However, if a link to that page is configured in the FIR, it will still appear on the mobile view and link to that non-responsive View Specials page. I don't know, I put in there, I don't even know if it's possible, but we would have to, in the FIR, we would have to read what the manually entered in URL is, because a lot of the time these View Specials links go to a specific subsection, so it's manually entered. We have to read that entry and determine if that page is responsive or not, and we don't have that determination anywhere, and then show and hide that link accordingly. I don't think that's even possible without a whole lot of logic building and maybe an AI in the store. But
and I know this is a separate topic, but whenever we start talking about FIR, I'm probably going to always start asking, is this value add if we move to FIR 3?
I don't think.
Or just throw away?
I don't think FIR will.
It won't affect this one. It doesn't sound like.
No, this will have the same issue in FIR 3. So I don't know. I think my personal opinion would be to focus on getting to FIR 3 ahead of this kind of issue.
How far?
I don't even know if I really don't think we can fix this.
Okay.
So.
Got it. And that's pretty much what you said last time.
Yeah.
So rather than let's just leave this here and we pick it up again in 2 weeks and look at it.
Yeah.
Who's going to make the call if this is technically possible?
I'd like the Root to take a look at it if he could. I'm just making my statements based off on how I know the navigation works and how the
Sure.
FIR is configured, and it seems like a big gap in the way things communicate that we would be able to figure this out. So.
Can we assign it to him and throw it in the next sprint?
Yeah, so let's go ahead and assign it to Root.
I'm just trying to think of, we have these conversations and otherwise this will sit back here again.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask him to investigate and see if it's even possible.
And if it's possible, but it's going to be 5,000 hours, then that's not possible.
Yeah.
Or I should say feasible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it turns out to be we have to implement some giant story, then yeah, this should have been just a quick fix, but I don't think it can next week's sprint, yeah. Sprint. Future sprint. Okay. That one's gone. And it scrolled me up again. Okay, then we get past all that stuff, and we're down into tech debt.
So
Here's
what's with
knockout.
the NVI disclaimer stuff with the project?
This is to remove the feature
Feature
rollout
switch.
switch. Yeah. And I don't know when this is going to be removed, or when it's even planned to be removed.
Oh, there was a description that talked about it. It should be removed once.
Yeah. So it's a general statement when it's out there in production and fully tested, remove it.
The last comment was what he put on there.
Updating the story to remove the rollout switch.
Got it.
So it's really a I don't know who makes the call when things are ready to be removed. So
we did NVI disclaimer like 2 months ago, right?
yeah,
Historically, when you guys removed switches,
we get a okay. Go ahead and remove it from whoever.
got it. Let's
so
keep it on there for another.
Ritesh can say.
Let's leave it on there for like another 2 weeks, and
Okay.
then we can. What's the next one for NVI?
Refactor to use Knockout.js. This is the big story that Jesse said to do.
Got it.
Why didn't it change? There we go. New dropdown introduced for the MVI feature uses Knockout.js binding. And it got moved. It looks like root was on it, or just moved it back due to CPO taking up all the time.
Got it. You know, another one that potentially we could do for backlog front end would be investigating some of the responsive pages, the pages right now that are not responsive, and trying to do a quick assessment of which ones would require more heavy lifting than others, right?
Yeah, yeah, we could do that, but we probably don't want to spend a whole lot of time on pages where somebody says we're going to get rid of them. You know, we're going to spend an hour investigating on this page, and they say, oh, we're not even using that page. And
Correct. I've actually got the metrics back.
oh, you do?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that part.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Visits and views. Obviously, surprise, surprise. Homepage number 1.
Yeah.
Not responsive. That gets the most.
Okay. Huh.
So we can take a look at that.
Okay. Good.
I think I sent those metrics out to the team, actually. This is
Maybe I
like a
didn't
week
see
ago.
it.
Okay.
I'll take a look. Sorry. Okay. Then we have other stories in tech debt for making miscellaneous widgets responsive, implementing lazy loading and responsive images, and splitting up widgets.js would be great. We've got to figure out how to do it. Jake has a lot of text in here on what to do. He made all this before he left the team. Splitting tag list.
Technically, it is small stories or is a feature.
Technical debt is about 3 months ago when I came on the team.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to say, Eric, you've been here the longest on the team?
Well, now, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the team had a lot of changeover.
Mm-hmm.
So, last summer, it was comprised of 5 Seattle developers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in October...
Yeah, you were here.
Yeah.
He's been here for
Oh, okay. And then in October, they got the Pune folks involved, and they reduced the size of Seattle. And then December, I took over for Amy. And then Siva went over to accessories, and Ryan took over. There's been a lot of changeover. And so one of the things we wanted to do was to figure out all of the items that we need to fix internally. So just obviously technical debt. The only thing I'm concerned about is with the Jake stories, if they start sitting around longer and longer and longer, it's maybe good ideas that we should do that we won't know what to do if Jake's suddenly gone or what was that?
Oh no, these are. He's not like this one. He's not having specific tasks on how to do it. It's he's just explaining why this needs to happen, and it's basically the file is giant. If anything happens to that file, all the widgets won't fire tags. We need to split it up. Each widget should have the code itself. We should have a common code to fire the tags, and each widget should keep that tag information by themselves. That's the story. We got to figure out how to do it. It's just an investigation task. I saw it, a widget today, the image flex widget. It has its own event tracking JS that is customizable per OEM, which is fine, right? So we can customize, we can overwrite these files to customize that thing as long as we're not changing core functionality. And it had its own event tracking. And so I thought, oh, maybe we could throw in our event tracking into it to fire the armature tags. So I quickly looked at that this morning, but then I was looking at something else. So it looks like the longer we wait, the more that this is getting easier to do. So
Okay.
that's
So this time procrastination may pay.
yeah,
Okay.
for that one especially. And this next one is split the tagless contents up. Tagless JS was very huge at one point, but thanks to Pratik, he cut it in half because we cut out all the legacy tags, which is great. And yeah, Jake says common tags should move to Omniture.js and page-specific tags should move into the page-specific files. But that just means we have to have an individual JS for every single page that we have, which is already done. We just need to move the code to them. Not a problem to do. It's just the time to do it. And then we get rid of this giant tagless JS, which was a huge file. But thanks to all the responsive effort and Pratik's efforts, these things all got smaller and bundled and everything, so it's not as big of a problem as it was. Then we have a general story to create more responsive widgets with like crafted line pages. And this is to make the quick links widget, the FIR and markup widget available on landing page and miss page, which we have done. The FIR is available on landing page and miss page. And then so you'd have to have new stories to make these other ones. I would say individual stories because this would be a huge story by itself. So, and then we have another story here to make the service specials page responsive for mobile devices. I moved this to technical I think it was a tech debt, but I noted that it was actually the view specials D page because there is no just service specials page. It's all just different sections. So. Because we can't make we'll be making half a page responsive and half the page not. So this would be great to make responsive. This is probably the number one thing we've been asked for forever. You probably came up on the metrics that this is a popular page. Dealers put all sorts of specials out there. The only problem is we have a couple things on there that we need to figure out what to do with. Let's see. We'll go to the parts page for bill view. This thing right here is a nav that it looks like a nav, but it's not really a nav. This page is actually one big long page, and you're just seeing part of it with this click and part of it with this click. And then there's a couple buttons here that show based on participation, but all this is dealer exclusive content that they put in. You see the footer's all messed up. But the dealer puts in their own content here to show off their specials. This is a CIC. It's also a horrible widget. You can see it's not loading here, and it's probably because of my Wi-Fi and recording. But if we go to another site, you'll see that it loads. And it just has a lot of sections. It has 4 sections, and if we get rid of the sections, let's see if we can see the core page. No, they don't have it. Let's go Lexus of Seattle. Let's see what theirs look like. So here's more. See, they have new vehicle and pre-owned. Oh, and theirs loaded. See, here's the CIC. It's not really a CIC. It's our own embedded widget. It's not even a true Flex widget. And then they have this guy. This, I believe, is a frame-in. It's not Flash, but it comes straight from Lexus, and it shows off all the specials. When Dana is giving us specials to look at, this is where we go and find the information off of this guy here. It's a feed that comes in, not a feed, but a frame-in that Lexus populates. So we got to figure out what to do with that. Like, do we make it disappear because it's an iframe? I mean, there's all sorts of things we got to consider, and there's all these different sections, and so yeah, this would be great to make. This is another horrible widget. It'd be great to make it responsive, but we have all sorts of things to deal with here. This right here is a CIC, the universal CIC, whereas this is the skyscraper, and then.
So it's pretty fair to say that anything that is a non-responsive, very popular page right now, most likely is going to be fairly complex to make responsive.
Yeah, we either need a complete redesign,
Yeah.
or somebody come in and say that needs to be deleted when it's on mobile, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, it's fairly simple to make this page responsive, but what do we do with this widget? Because this widget is not responsive. It's the universal CIC. What do we do with this guy?
So, out of the pages right now that are responsive, how did you guys go about prioritizing and deciding on which ones to do?
They gave us a list when
They
the ES
got it.
when we started responsive, right? They said make them all responsive, and we said no. It's going to
Take
take us
100 years.
months, yeah, because we were already way behind, and it took us a while to get the responsive design completed. And we said we'll make these pages responsive, and they gave us a list of like 15, I think, or so, maybe 10. And we've slowly been adding pages, and it kind of stopped for a long time of adding new pages, but because I think all the easy pages got knocked out, I think the difficult ones are remaining. So yeah, that's how that worked.
Nothing's downhill anymore. It's going to be a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah, you can see this ugly gap here. See that up top? That's there. We have some third-party pixel tag doing that. It bothers me. It should be like that.
Okay.
But anyway, it's a great story to have, but a big one. It's supposed to be many, many, many stories. Then we have implementation schedule test drive and quick quote form sending invalid attribute provider ID while submitting a form. And looks like you sent an email to Radhika asked you to send an email to Dana, and Dana said she was confused.
Hey, Radhika, are you on the phone?
Yeah,
She's not listening.
looks like it's assigned to Niraj
60. Let me do a quick search.
6052.
Quick quote.
While you're looking that up, I'll go through the next four are department info widget epic. Looks like they're going to enhance this widget probably to be responsive, I'm assuming, because why else would you need to do that? Looks like Sendesh has a story here, so somebody's working on these or assigned to these to work on these in the future. And
By the way, I just pulled up an email from Raj from March 19th. Chad, any update on this?
yeah,
So,
I think we did this last sprint planning or last backlog grooming, and I think that's where Radhika sent you an email or asked you to email Dana, and then you did, and Dana said she doesn't know what you're talking about.
Radhika was supposed to send me a user-friendly business one, and I don't know if she did.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll try to see if I can follow up.
Okay. We also have a couple stories here for migrating to FIR version 3. And nobody's assigned. Then Root has a story I thought was interesting is 6093 is make loop video as core widget. So since it's just a brand new widget, it's pretty much core already. We just need to move our customizations, the things that make it look like Lexus, like it's hard-coded to use, Nobel font, and
The skin,
we need to move all that stuff into the customized Lexus folder and then put a generic font or just allow it to inherit the designs fonts. And that will pretty much make it core. And font is just one example. There's quite a few things that we can do just to make it more generic. So if it plugs in anywhere else, anybody else can use it. And then keep our nice little customizations, our skins and whatnot, over in our own
So
folder.
it sounds like your acceptance criteria may be a little bit different from what he's proposing, and the hours would be changing.
No, I think that's a good chunk of hours to do that because it requires making sure that what he's going to have to do is if he moves our changes into a separate file, he has to make sure it looks the same for us and it's going to look good for any other OEM that tries to use it. So
Testing on both skins. So
yeah, on the core and then on our customization.
that one we can get rid of, right?
Yeah, this one.
Withdraw.
So I just delete it.
Yeah, either. It's fine.
I'm going to delete it because I like doing that.
What's the retrospective?
Yeah,
Huh. How'd they end up in a backlog?
I don't know.
That's weird.
Maybe it wasn't tied to that epic or that sprint. I don't know.
You should read a story for what read to when.
Close it there. That's better. All right. Oh, and then okay, here we are again. We have some service and parts out Louis stories. Ready to go.
These,
It's like Ritesh opened one list of services section,
so
all different sections.
these probably should have been in our current sprint, right?
Well, we have stories now to investigate these to make these, and so I think when is the LOE supposed to be ready? Because I don't think anybody's working on making an LOE at this time.
You guys are just fleshing out questions
Yeah.
and why you didn't do things.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, actually, I asked him. I'll make a note. He actually gave me acceptance criteria for these. I'm supposed to update these. I haven't. So maybe what I'll do is I'll add the acceptance criteria to these.
Okay.
I'll toss them into the next sprint, and this will probably be the focus for UI,
Okay.
and the focus for backend will be offers.
Okay.
And again, we really got to start cranking down on the LOE. So
Yeah.
if there's any open questions or dependencies or assumptions, if everyone can get those out to the team as soon as possible so that we can be in a position to start the LOE maybe next sprint.
Okay. Cool.
And if that doesn't feel realistic, then let us know.
No, and I guess we'll just take the sections that we worked on originally, and then build the LOE from there and get these tasks assigned from there. One of the tasks, or one of the stories, is the accessories
Which
section.
will be blocked.
And so I'm going to put a flag on this right there, just so we know. Don't mess with that one.
Yeah, I'll probably add the acceptance criteria to it. I'll throw
Yeah.
it in the sprint, and then I'll put it as blocked, waiting on ES direction.
Okay. And I think I noted in my email on why that would be blocked. Basically, we don't know what we're going to do with that now.
So I'll move up the UI stories. These offer stories should be not at the bottom of our sprint, right? Backlog. I'm not sure. Maybe you moved the sections over. Is this all underneath technical debt and all that other stuff that you were showing?
Yeah, this is all at the bottom. This is the
Yeah.
bottom of the backlog. So
We
these
should-
should be up higher or in the next sprint.
Higher in the backlog, right? I don't want these to be. So what's going to happen is either we'll forget to do something, or someone will create a duplicate story because they're not looking at the very bottom of the backlog.
I'll move these to the top as well. And then so when you come in, you'll see
Sure.
all the offers are at the top, all of them, and then service and parts is at the very.
Got it. So the LOE stuff, the first 6 there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll update acceptance criteria and toss them in the next sprint.
Okay.
And then
Well, could you just put them in the sprint now and then, or do you want to do it as you go?
I'll do it as I go.
Okay.
'Cause otherwise, I'll forget to do it again.
Okay.
I had to make myself a note. And then delete if you could work then with the guys tonight, Raj and Biswadeep, to break out stories, we know where they're at, and just prioritize them.
Sure.
Perfect.
Okay. That's the backlog.
That is it.
And there's some stories at the end, but they're just down there. I think one of them is one is removing redirect 2 and the inventory.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. This looks good. So we got 8 total so far. All right, good.
And then as you're looking through there, delete. Don't worry about the intent stories so much. Those are probably more back end.
Yeah.
We could probably pull some of those out. So if you start looking at it, the offers is the number one priority for back end. Perfect.
This is all down here. Cool. All right, so I think we're done recording. Everybody, say goodbye. Bye. Have a good night.
I hope you
Good
feel better on
day.
Tuesday, Sandesh, than you probably did on Monday.